Hello and welcome. I am Devika Chopra and you are watching NewsX World. We begin with the headlines. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says terrorists and their backers will be hunted down and punished after 26 tourists were killed in Kashmir. Speaking in Bihar, he paid tribute to the victims and urged the nation to stand united in grief and resolve. A reported 9 people have been killed and over 63 have been wounded in a Russian missile strike on Kyiv. The attack on the Ukrainian capital has seen residential buildings damaged and the search for people under rubble is underway. Beijing says there are no ongoing trade talks with Washington, dismissing President Trump's claims as groundless. China's Commerce Ministry has flatly denied any negotiations to lower tariffs imposed by the US. US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky have clashed once again over the ending of the war as Trump slams Kyiv's refusal to accept Russia's hold on Crimea. US Vice President J.D. Vance has warned that if both sides don't agree to a deal soon, Washington may quit its role altogether. After January clashes involving 23 rebels, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have vowed to pursue peace. A deal has been signed in Doha, offering a rare sign of hope that the long-running conflict could see a turn towards calm. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said Iran must not enrich uranium under any deal with Washington, even as talks continue. Iran, however, has insisted that zero enrichment is unacceptable, making compromise hard to reach. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney has campaigned in British Columbia, a key swing region, ahead of Monday's national election. His Liberals lead in Ontario and Quebec, while Poilievre's Conservatives hold strong in the Prairies. St. Peter's Basilica has reopened as tens of thousands gathered to pay final respects to Pope Francis, who's laid in an open coffin. Vatican says nearly 50,000 worshippers have already come to bid farewell ahead of the Pope's funeral on Saturday. Our top focus is India. In a strong response to the deadly terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has vowed severe retribution, declaring that India will track and punish those responsible to the ends of the earth. He emphasized that India's resolve to combat terrorism has never been stronger. In a swift diplomatic reaction, India has suspended visa services for Pakistani nationals and revoked all existing visas. The government has also closed its airspace to Pakistani airlines and halted all trade with Pakistan. In retaliation, Pakistan has suspended all visas under the SARC visa exemption scheme for Indian nationals, except for Sikh pilgrims. The Wagah border has been closed and bilateral agreements with India, including the Simla agreement, are on hold. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has condemned India's actions, warning that any attempt to stop water from the Indus River will be seen as an act of war. Pakistan has vowed to defend its sovereignty at all costs. Global condemnation of the attack has been swift. Germany's foreign and security policy advisor has expressed solidarity with India. Japan's Prime Minister and Israel's Prime Minister are also expressing solidarity. They have both called Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India, offering condolences and condemning terrorism. Meanwhile, Brian Thomas joins us live from Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir, India. Brian, if you could help, firstly, our viewers understand what really are the latest developments taking place on the ground.
Well, Devika, talking about, yes, where we are, Srinagar, definitely. Now, the situation here in terms of tourism is clearly very much affected. The tourists who had their bookings till 27th or 28th, they are cutting short their tour and they are going back because when we are speaking to the tourists as well, they had planned to extend their trip, maybe go to Gulmarg or Pahalgam, but after this incident, they had to cut short their trip and they are going back to their respective places. Now, very importantly, the few tourists who were still here because of the flight prices that skyrocketed heavily, so they were waiting. But again, once they got a clearance and once they start booking, now in a day or two by tomorrow, many such tourists would be leaving. Just a while back, we were showing you visuals also of the fact that even Dal Lake, which is a very popular tourist destination, or Lal Chowk itself in Srinagar, which is another very popular tourist attraction, is all remain vacant. The shikaras are stranded. There's not any tourists there. Just some locals who are there. All the securities there have been heavily beefed up, heavily security, and all you see on ground are just few locals, are just few CRPF, few GNK police officials, jawans that are there, that are on vigil, that are on standby. But apart from that, the tourists are not visible there. Even small restaurant owners and hotel owners are also clearly affected because their bookings that they were getting, on call tourists are telling them that they're postponing the trip or they are cancelling the trip, and it is creating and it is a major hit in their tourism industry. It is a major hit on their business also, because this is a peak season. The summer season is a peak season for tourists to come here because of the weather that it gives, the view of it offers. But again, because of this one incident, because of the barbaric attack that happened on 26 tourists, the entire tourism here remains affected and jolted. Devika.
Brian, at the same time, could you take our viewers through the security developments that are taking place on the ground as well? What really are you learning as far as the search operations are now concerned? And what is the situation on the ground? Are the streets rather deserted?
Very importantly, yes, Devika, the streets are clearly deserted today itself. We were en route from Srinagar to Kulbam also, where very importantly, just yesterday itself, there was a gun firing that happened between militants and the security personnel that happened yesterday. And post that, we were with the army convoys, and they showed us the entire operation and cordon and search operation that were conducting. They were wearing their vests. They had 8 to 10 convoys with CRPF vehicles, with all the militaries in place. They were going uphill to clear, to see what the operations are, to understand what is the situation there. And even Srinagar itself, Lal Chowk itself, even Dal Lake, which is a very popular tourist destination, they are all geared up. They are all beefed up with security. Every alternate, when you travel to Srinagar itself in your car or anywhere, you get to see every 100 meters, every 200 meters, there is one official wearing one JNK police, there is one convoy. There are, each barricades have been done. Each checkpoint you have to cross, there's another barricading that has been done. So entirely in and around Kashmir itself, the security have been heavily beefed up here. Yes, Devika.
All right, Brian, lastly, what really is it that the administration has currently shared with the people on the ground?
Well, talking about the administration, yes, earlier, just a while back, an all-party meeting was also convened by Umar Abdullah, who's the Chief Minister of Kashmir, and they had a all-party meeting. There were many such directives that were taken also in terms of the tourism, in terms of the action that should be taken against the perpetrators. Even in Delhi itself, there was a high-level meeting that was convened here at 6 p.m. itself. So yes, there have been many such diplomatic meetings, many such high-level meetings also that have been here in GNK itself, in Delhi itself, to review and to understand and to get a perspective of the situation that has happened in Pahalgam itself, Devika.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for joining us with that live report. Meanwhile, Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma joins me on the broadcast as well. Lieutenant General Sharma, I of course want to ask you, what really, in your perspective, do the next few weeks look like between India and Pakistan?
Well, Devika, firstly, I would say that the Pahalgam terror attack was a dastardly and a barbaric terror attack, something comparable with the Pulwama terror attack. But what is more worrisome is that the way this terror attack was executed, there is some new dimension which has come in that, and that is I would say that jihadi terrorism or the religious terrorism I remember the times of 90s in 93 when in Kishtwar Hindus were rounded up from the buses and they were killed, shot at. And then came 2000, again it happened. But thereafter it stopped. But so this is a revival of that. And this is also post, I would say, the Mullah Munir, if I may say, General Asif Munir, Mullah Munir, who has got that leaning just like Musharraf. So it came after his statement and thereafter by other Mullah. And I think we misread the message. We did not, probably understand what was coming up. So, all in all, I would say that, you see, this is the right moment. We need to take a very strong action against Pakistan. And this is the right moment because all three parameters are in place. Firstly, the entire world community is with us, US, then France, Russia, Australia, everybody is backing us up. And second is that entire country is together. Thirdly, even the opposition parties for the first time, including Congress, are all together. So this is the right moment for us to go ahead. And the CCS meeting which was held yesterday, and that CCS meeting, a decision which was taken, I think this was the right step which was taken. After all, when you ask me what are going to be the next few weeks, well, nations don't go to war just on the sentiments of the people, but it is a conglomerate, or it is a multi-dimensional, that is the political, diplomatic, economic and military response which takes place. And you see in this, the military response is towards the end. The CCS meeting rightly took the decision of invoking two of these things. Firstly, the diplomatic, we severed, whatever you said, we severed all those things. And even the economic part, little bit was invoked, that is a suspension of the IWT treaty, which is going to hit Pakistan hard, but it is not immediate. We may understand this, and people have to understand, after all, we cannot stop the water immediately. But then we have shown our will. Now this was the first step, and there are going to be the other steps that I outlined slowly and shortly coming up. My feeling is that in the next few days, and probably it has already started today on the LOC, the firing exchange has already commenced between the, our army and the Pakistan posts. It has already started. So what I personally feel is that since POJK is our area and Pakistan has illegally occupied that, their posts are there, even the terror camps are which are there, the staging areas which are there. So in few days time we are going to be hitting, there are 43 of these launch pads which are there. We are going to be hitting selective posts, we are going to be hitting these camps, whether with what all, I don't want to outline that because that is part of the military strategy. So you asked me, in next few days this is going to happen. Second part is that something of a punitive strike is going to take place, and something of the Balakot kind, but that immediately should not happen and will not happen, because after all, we will choose the place, choose the timing, and choose the weapons where we have to strike. And this is based on an assessment. I would recommend this time, and I personally feel that this time it is not going to be one Balakot, it is going to be a multi-strike so that it hits Pakistan very hard. And lastly, if you say, going out for an all-out war, I don't think so. That may be the option. We have to send this message very strongly to Pakistan, and this has to be done in that manner, in the escalatory manner. We don't have to straightway go to war. And so personally, I feel that we will calculate it, we will see it, and thereafter, all these things have to happen. And since the nation is boiling, we should start it immediately, not wait, so that all these launch pads slowly, in fact, yesterday there was a local news that some of the launch pads, they already started vacating or thinning out. So why we should strike immediately there? Why should we worry?
Okay.
And where are we? Why should we worry about the international opinion?
Okay.
International opinion is with us. Why? Because we have been hurt, we have been bled, and we have been bled very many times. So this is no time to wait. And this is within our rights to do that. Now, the second part, we took the CCS meeting and did this response. In response today, Pakistan has also done the similar kind of a thing. The only thing I would want to highlight is that the Shimla agreement, they have put it on hold, I would say suspended temporarily, which is going to create a very major security scenario or a problem in the region and the Southeast Asia. We have to be very careful about that. So
Okay.
this is my initial response to your question.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much for joining us on NewsX World with that perspective. We leave it there. Meanwhile, Canada is seeing a record turnout as early voting for the federal elections set for the 28th of April have reached new heights. Election Canada reports that 7.3 million Canadians have already cast their ballots, marking a 25% increase compared to 2021 elections. Additionally, mail-in voting has reached a record high with 7,54,000 special ballots returned, up from 660,000 in 2021. Recent data from the CBC poll tracker shows the Liberal Party, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney, holding a 5-point lead over the Conservatives, led by Pierre Poilievre. Carney's Liberals are at 42.7% support, while Poilievre's Conservatives stand at 38.3%. The NDP, led by Jagmeet Singh, is currently at 8.4%. As election day draws near, federal leaders are campaigning across the country. Liberal leader Mark Carney will hold a media availability in Port Moody, followed by a rally in Winnipeg. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh will make an announcement in Winnipeg before heading to Toronto for a campaign event. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre will hold a press conference in Halifax and later a rally in Saskatoon. Okay, all right. So those are the predictions as far as the 2025 Canadian elections are concerned. Liberal Party of Canada at 42%, Conservative Party of Canada at 41%. So it's a neck and neck battle that is being predicted by Main Street Research. New Democrat Party at 6%, Bloc Québécois at 6%, and others at 5%. These are the numbers that are coming in. Nanos Research claims Liberal Party of Canada will be at 44%, Conservative Party of Canada at 39%, New Democrat Party at 8%, the BQ, at 5%, and others at 4%. All right, let me take these numbers and some information forward with Mr. Andrew Latham, Professor of International Relations at Macalester College and Senior Fellow, joining me from Ottawa, Canada. Mr. Latham, thank you so much for speaking with NewsX World. I want to, of course, begin by asking you your understanding and assessment of what could possibly happen in Canada on the 28th of April.
Well, I think you characterized it correctly when you said it was neck and neck at this point. About 3 months ago, the Conservative Party in Canada had a 20-point lead. But once Justin Trudeau resigned and Prime Minister Mark Carney ascended to that office, that changed because Justin Trudeau and his government became incredibly unpopular. There are a couple of big developments that are taking place. The New Democratic Party, which is the Social Democratic Party in Canada, is on the verge of being destroyed and being eliminated as a parliamentary party. The Bloc Québécois is running as a very kind of Canadian nationalist party, which is unusual, but that has to do with President Trump and his 51st state nonsense. So it's really coming down to this. Pierre Poilievre's Conservative Party versus Mark Carney's Liberal Party. And it's really, as you pointed out in your comments, it's coming down to some regional dynamics. British Columbia on the west coast of Canada has been, in some ways, an NDP, New Democratic Party, stronghold for a long time, but it's up for grabs now. The two places that I grew up in, Toronto, a suburb of Toronto called Brampton, in which now I would be a visible minority because it's South Asian, Pakistani, and Indian majority in that part of the world. It remains to be seen how that is going to shake out. Is that going to be liberal or progressive conservative? And then, as you mentioned, Winnipeg, where I spent 5 years as a graduate student, is also kind of up for grabs. So it's not a foregone conclusion. And when you characterized it as neck and neck, I think that's exactly the way it's shaking out. Liberals, that Liberal Party versus the Conservative Party, and the NDP and the Bloc Québécois and the Green Party are just inconsequential.
Mr. Latham, I also want to understand from you what really has changed in the past few months, as you've also pointed out that the Conservatives did have a lead, a 20-point lead over the Liberal Party. But what really has changed? Was the resignation of Justin Trudeau so significant for the Liberal Party?
I think that was the most consequential development over the last several months, is that he, as the leader of that Liberal Party, was so unpopular. And when he went away, and Mark Carney, whom Canadians would know as the governor of the Bank of Canada and Brits would know as the governor of the Bank of England, stepped in, and he just seemed more competent, maybe more capable of pushing back against President Trump. I have to say this, though, that as the governor of the Bank of England, he was very unpopular in Great Britain. He mismanaged this, the economic crisis back then. But Justin Trudeau going away made all the difference. And I think that was the most consequential thing. I don't really think there's anything else that's happened in Canada other than this. Again, Jasmeet Singh, the head of the New Democratic Party, is just not popular. There's very little and decreasing support for both him and his party. And then the Green Party in Canada has become increasingly unpopular as well, especially in places like the province of Alberta, which it generates wealth on the basis of its oil and gas industry. And the Green Party and the Liberal Party are both opposed to, because they're committed to the green agenda, they're both opposed to that industry. And so Danielle Smith, the Premier, the Prime Minister of that particular province, has been making the case that those two parties are anti-Alberta. So maybe people across the world will understand that Quebec has a separatist movement based on ethnicity. But now there's a Western separatism in Alberta and Saskatchewan that says we don't really want to be part of Canada anymore because they're so opposed to not our ethnicity, but are opposed to our economic sort of foundations.
Right. Professor Latham, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast on NewsX World. Well, that's all that we have the time for. We will continue to bring more news updates from around the world. Stay tuned.